Welcome to the AI Business News Desk. Terry Sweeney here, contributing editor to AI Business, and joining me now is LaVonne Roberts, CEO of the Scott Morgan Foundation. LaVonne, thanks for joining us on News Desk today.
Thanks for having me, Terry.
Before we dive into our questions around AI, just help our viewers understand a bit about what the Scott Morgan Foundation is and some of its work.
It was founded by Dr. Peter Scott Morgan, a roboticist who, just in a nutshell, believed that paralysis is an engineering problem that can be solved. So most of our work works around assistive tech. How do we make it more user friendly? I think, in kind of a credo ethos to just sum it up, is we believe in designing with and not for the people that we're serving. So they're actually very involved in human-centric design as we put out assistive tech products. So
Thanks. So connect the dots for us then about the problem that the Scott Morgan Foundation is solving and how AI connects in with all that.
it's interesting. So today there are 100 million people around the world that need a communication device, some assistive tech. They've been silenced in some way. That could be throat cancer, it could be paralysis, it could be a stroke, it could be temporary, it could be more permanent, like ALS. Of that 100 million, 98 do not have a way to communicate, or they could benefit from an AAC, which is a type of device. Those devices run about $15,000,
Wow.
require insurance, they're cost prohibitive, and AI is a complete game changer when it comes to democratizing assistive tech.
All right. What's taken so long to solve this problem? Is it the
Yeah.
expense? Is it complexity? Something else?
Honestly, it's a couple things. One, we don't really have any competition. There's no incentive for someone to come out and democratize devices.
Oh,
It's
of
very
course.
monopolized, right? And we've reached this inflection point between technology, software, hardware. You've probably seen hardware trying to catch up with software, which is a reversal with what's happening with AI, and
Sure.
exciting, right? We've also seen AI take things like avatars. If I look back 2 years ago, it was $25,000 for someone that we used that we would have brought to a conference like this. Now we're talking hundreds of dollars and things. The barrier level to get someone in to have that kind of technology, which is really a game changer. And you don't think about it, but someone that's paralyzed, someone that has ALS, MND, imagine you're giving expression back. And then I think if you think of a stellar story, 11 Labs, they've gone from 8 employees when I met them 2 years ago, 350, 1.3 billion valuations, I believe it's 6.6 right now. But those numbers reflect something bigger, which is phenomenal technology. You can't hear the difference in a voice. So things like that have made a big change.
Wow. So is you mentioned avatars? Is this essentially digital twin technology? Is it something else?
It is very much so. So we're partnered with DID, and that's one of the things that we do that's exciting. Again, I don't feel like we have any competition out there. We're literally looking for best in class, and we get two kinds of users. Someone that is looking for the best that exists today, which is going to require a custom solution. And we use those people and that work to create a blueprint to take places like Mexico, where there are, right now, we're working on 80,000 people that need a way to communicate. Most of them don't have Wi Fi, so many different things, don't have devices. So that's kind of the broad spectrum, but big game changer to have a digital twin to suddenly, when you say I love you, show expression, meaning, intent, that kind of thing.
And I haven't used the technology, but is it a manual input? Like how does the person who wants to be
Yeah.
communicating
Thank you.
make that message?
That makes sense. Thank you for that question. So imagine you're with me and you've suffered a stroke and you're using the software. You could have something as simple as a tablet and an eye tracker. In fact, you could even have a tablet that has eye tracking, and it's ambient listening. So it would be listening to me. It would understand what the context of my relationship is with you. It has all kinds of metrics in there. It's working with different LLMs, and it would be popping up as we're speaking. And imagine the reverse. I'm asking you questions. It would be popping up with three different answers of probable answers. You're still in control. It's never taking that control away from you, which is something very important to us. So, good example, Stephen Hawking, 1 word a minute. If you had 25 words to say to me to answer, we'd be here 25 minutes. If you picked one of those three boxes and they were right, and we're actually really excited about how right they generally are because we're feeding so much context in there, And you'd be a phenomenal person to be doing this because you probably have books, articles. We would have loaded that content in amongst questions. Then you're picking one of those three answers, and with your voice and your avatar, your digital twin, I would see you, hear you, and you would communicate within probably 3 seconds.
Okay, wow, what a great application
Yeah.
of like contextual and predictive analytics.
Very much so. So it's almost, if you can think of what we do today with LLMs on steroids, but it's very customizable to you, and it's learning as you go, and it's understanding your relationships.
So you've partially addressed this, but there's so much fear around AI taking away human agency or replacing humans, and this obviously doesn't do that. But it does change the relationship. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, I love that you asked me that question. And it's interesting. People around the world sent me a message when there was a morning show episode that aired with a digital twin that went rogue and was problematic. I couldn't have been more ecstatic. So the difference in this, and I think most people are starting to know this about AI, is that it's trained and it's customized to you. So back to what you're saying, we're restoring agency for people that don't have any. We're giving them choices to continue to spell things out slowly or to express themselves and show themselves in a way that they couldn't before. And, just tiny examples. I see people that they see their avatar for the first time, and I ask a question. If someone would come by the booth, you can talk to a live agent and ask a question. And I might ask, what was your favorite trip? And I see people with tears streaming down their face because they hear their voice that they haven't heard in 4 or 5 years in a long time. They hear it sounds like them. The people that they're saying, I loved you to, can hear their voice, and that's our signature. But then you pair that with movement. I'm moving my hands as I'm talking to you now, and you see a digital twin doing that. It's very emotional.
I
So,
guess. To that same point, you have someone on your team who coded an entire AI platform using only their eyes.
yeah,
This is pretty astonishing stuff.
it's
Tell
mind-boggling,
us about
honestly.
how this actually transpired.
Yeah, I'm honestly more proud of that than anything. So, we've gone from a world where it would have taken a team of engineers and years to deploy this kind of thing. So, Bernard has taken a most extreme need use, and he's built what doesn't exist in the ecosystem in the world, even with assistive tech, and it's driven by need. So it's solving his problems, and in doing that, it's a blueprint for everyone. But we reached a place where you had vibe coding, and we've seen that around the world, and AI has done that. But it's so much more than that. He has not only vibe code, he's done the work of probably 10 engineers. We've wrapped engineers around him to deploy it on the web. But it's mind-boggling. In some ways, he's solved problems that business enterprise. There's a lesson to be learned for anyone in AI enterprise, which is he's solved so many issues on a much deeper level because the need's stronger, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. LaVonne, talk a little bit about the curb cut effect and how it applies to AI development.
So it kind of segues to this. I think so many of us take for granted that most of the technologies we use were originally designed for extreme use cases. We think about GPS. We don't think that the GPS we use every day, my getting here, came from, technology for the blind, or the fact that you and I can text each other was for deaf and hearing impaired people. So you take an extreme case like this and you think what we all want in a digital twin someday, which is, certainly coming, and you strip away all expression, movement, agency. So you're designing for that extreme case, and back to a curb cut. When I think of disability, I think of a pyramid. And at the top of that, the most severe disability I know of is ALS, MND. So when you design for that, you're designing for everything else. And just lastly, think of curb cuts like when the United States put in curb cuts, they thought, great, wheelchairs, but the UPS driver uses that. A woman with a stroller uses
Sure.
that. You and I use that
Right.
with suitcases, and that's the curb cut effect.
Thank you. Um, LaVonne, real briefly now, if we were having this conversation in 6 months, we'd be talking about different technology because AI is just that kind of moving target. What can you see on the horizon that may continue to contribute to some of the breakthroughs that the Scott Morgan Foundation is working on?
It's crazy. I think we're getting to a place where the avatar that you're watching on the front of there is live streaming. That's probably a next step. Today, if I spoke to you and I changed my question to you and you were using this device in French, it would respond in French. If I speak to you in Spanish, it will respond in Spanish. I don't speak Hebrew, but if I did, it would, that kind of thing. So I think we're removing barriers, and that means a lot for anyone that's using these technologies to be able to speak in one language, to be heard in another, to converse. That's all coming. And just lastly, that 100 million people, I believe it will spread much faster. We'll have adoption in a way that we didn't in other types of technology. And again, because of AI and the capability to do that and get the message out there.
Well, this is a welcome and moving application of AI technology. LaVonne, thanks so much for stopping by News Desk.
Thank you very much for having me. Very excited to talk about it. So,
We've been talking with LaVonne Roberts of the Scott Morgan Foundation. This has been Terry Sweeney for the AI Business News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this segment. We'll see you next time.